Welcome to a story so unbelievable, you'd think it was straight out of a movie, unless you saw it with your own eyes. A mild-mannered resident, a powerful HOA, and a Karen with ambitions to control the entire neighborhood, even down to the color of your curtains. But don't be fooled into thinking this is a petty issue. When justice is distorted and greed outweighs the law, it takes one sharp, fearless individual to turn the tide. Do you think Lucas struck back sharply enough? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. I moved into Oakwood Estates on a quiet April morning, holding on to a simple hope to find a peaceful place where I could work, rest, and live an ordinary life. Everything looked perfect. Neatly trimmed white fences, lawns manicured like golf course greens, and the kind of forced neighborly smiles that seemed almost rehearsed. But I had forgotten one truth. The more perfect something looks on the outside, the more likely it's rotting within. And Oakwood Estates was decaying from the inside out, under the reign of one woman, Karen Wilkins. I had barely parked the moving truck when she appeared. Blue blazer, khaki pants, and a name badge so oversized it looked like a military dog tag, HOA-PRESIDENT, Karen Wilkins. She didn't smile, didn't say hello, just raised her clipboard and spoke with a voice smoother than any IRS agent. Your truck is blocking the sidewalk by exactly 7 inches. That's a violation of Section 12-4 of the community bylaws. I gave a polite smile and moved the truck. I thought it was just a minor clash, one of those petty neighborhood power plays you hear about. But that was only the warning shot. Over the next 3 weeks, I received 5 violation notices. Grass too tall by a 1/4 inch, garden hose left visible past noon, front door wreath had excessive red during a non-holiday month. Every notice bore Karen's elaborate signature and a sticker with a smiling face. It was that damn sticker that made my blood boil. I work remotely. I never wanted to get involved in any suburban drama. But Karen didn't stop at lawns, hoses, or decorations. She wanted control over everything, even inside my home. That's when I realized I hadn't moved into a peaceful neighborhood. I'd walked straight into a covert battlefield, where power hides beneath pastel paint and plastic smiles. I had gotten used to the absurd violations, like the red wreath or the lawn being a 1/4 inch too high, but I never expected Karen to extend her territorial control from the front yard straight into the inside of my home. That afternoon, I was on a video call with a colleague when I heard a faint sound near the living room window. I turned, and there she was. Karen's face was pressed against the glass, hands cupped around her eyes to block the glare. She was peering into my house like she was window shopping. I opened the door, quietly, without a word, just enough to make her jump back, nearly stepping on the flower bed she had planted herself. "Oh, Lucas," she exhaled, regaining her composure. "The committee is conducting quarterly interior inspections. Your curtains appear to be navy blue. That's a bit concerning, as Clause 17-5 requires neutral tones." I raised an eyebrow. "They're actually black, and I don't recall any bylaw that gives you authority over colors inside my house." Karen's smile tightened. "Perhaps you haven't received the latest updates. I'll make sure you get a copy." And she meant it. The next day, I received a stack of faintly printed papers with handwritten notes in purple ink, most starting with, "HOA, President reserves the right to..." The content? Ridiculous. From interior wall paint colors, types of throw pillows visible from the street, to even what beverages were allowed to be placed on the front porch. All under the banner of community aesthetic standards, a concept Karen alone seemed to define. That's when I started feeling it. Something deeply wrong. This wasn't just about being picky. This was a sickness, a form of legalized control masked behind self-printed rules and a gleaming brass nameplate. And it didn't stop there. The next week, I stepped outside to grab an Amazon package, only to find nothing. The package was gone. I checked the app. Delivered. Maybe a petty thief. I ordered again. This time, I installed a door camera. 3 days later, I had my first video, and what I saw made my blood boil. Karen Wilkins, HOA president, self-proclaimed guardian of visual harmony, walking right up to my porch, bending down, inspecting the shipping label, and casually walking away with my package. No one elected her to be the police. But in Karen's mind, she was the law, the court, and the final authority. And I knew then it was time to strike back, not with words, but with action, organized, legal, and absolutely uncompromising. The doorbell camera didn't lie, and this time, it didn't just catch Karen lifting the box. It captured the exact moment she gently peeled open the flap, pulled out the contents, slipped them into the pocket of her blazer, and casually tossed the empty box into my trash bin as if she had just fulfilled some civic duty. This wasn't aesthetic inspection anymore. This was theft, blatant, intentional, and recurring. Over the next few days, I noticed a clear pattern. If the package was from a tech company or a bookstore, it would disappear. If it contained food or household items, it was left alone. Karen didn't just crave control, she had a hunger for possession. I confronted her, politely, on Monday morning. Standing on the sidewalk, I presented the evidence, still frames from the video. Karen raised an eyebrow, then regained composure like she had rehearsed the scene in front of a mirror. "Oh, Lucas. According to Clause 23-9, all deliveries must comply with community packaging standards. I merely held on to non-compliant items temporarily. I was going to return it, but got busy, you understand?" "I understand," I replied, eyes locked on hers. "I understand that you held my package for over 72 hours, and it has coffee stains and clear signs of being opened." Karen didn't blink. "I'll file a package exemption form for you. Once you complete and submit it through proper channels, your deliveries will proceed as usual." "And where exactly do I find that form?" I asked, voice flat as a firing line. "Well, I'm still drafting it." She smiled, a warped plastic grin laced with condescension. That night, I called the police non-emergency line. Officer Daniel Kim arrived within 20 minutes. He watched the footage, furrowed his brow, and sighed. "The problem is, she's claiming it falls under HOA function. That pushes this into a legal gray area, but keep recording everything. And if you can, talk to your neighbors. I'd bet you're not the only one." I followed his advice, and door by door, person by person, the stories began to surface. Mrs. Henderson, elderly and soft-spoken, had her heart medication vanish. Emily Dawson, a single mother, said her child's birthday gift never arrived. Everyone had a quiet fear, and all roads led to one name, Karen Wilkins, HOA president and self-appointed guardian of visual harmony. The wind was shifting, but I knew collecting evidence wasn't enough. To take down someone like Karen, I needed more. I had to shine a light into the places she thought no one dared to look. And I knew exactly where to start. The HOA's finances. 40. That night, I didn't sleep, not out of anger, out of focus. I read, specifically, all 127 pages of the Oakwood Estates HOA bylaws, line by line, footnote by footnote, every tiny clause printed in font size 8. Karen wanted to play the rules game? Fine, but this time I'd play with real rules, not the inkjet printed fantasy set she made up. Buried in that mountain of legalese, I found the loophole Karen never wanted anyone to notice. Clause 31-2, a small line with a blade's edge. Any resident may request access to the detailed financial reports of the HOA within 48 hours of submitting a written request. I submitted the request the next morning, by email, by handwritten letter, and by tacking a hard copy onto the community bulletin board. Karen didn't respond. 3 days later, I followed up, this time with a signed receipt from the front desk clerk at the HOA office. 4 more days of silence and stalling. In the second week, I received a single email from Karen. "The documents are currently under third-party audit. There was a minor water incident at the office. Some files were slightly affected. Thank you for your patience." A minor water incident, I thought, then quietly installed a second camera. This one pointed straight at Karen's porch. What it captured was a cardboard box full of stolen packages being dragged into her house and never seen coming back out. I began visiting neighbors, evidence in hand. Each clip, each photocopied bylaw page I handed out was a puzzle piece. And from the silence, nods began to emerge. When the monthly HOA meeting came around, I sat quietly for 2 hours while Karen rambled about mailbox height and unauthorized garden gnomes. But when it was time for new business, I stood up. "I'd like to ask about the policy on package confiscation," I said clearly, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I've reviewed the bylaws, and I can't find a single clause that authorizes the HOA to remove items from residents' porches." The room froze. Karen stiffened. Board members started whispering. I continued. "I propose a new bylaw, strictly prohibiting any HOA member from confiscating, inspecting, or removing packages belonging to residents, unless there is written, explicit consent." A hand went up. "I second that." Then another, and another. The motion passed, almost unanimously. Only 2 voted against it, Karen and her husband. But I wasn't finished. "And while I have the floor," I added, "I'm renewing my request to view the financial reports, as stated in Clause 31-2. I smiled. "If needed, I can help sort through those mildly damp files." Karen said nothing, but her eyes, something in them cracked wide open, a mix of panic and hate. I had poked the hive, but this time I had the law, the cameras, and the entire community behind me. 40 Karen thought she had won, even after the new bylaw passed banning package confiscation. Even as the community began watching her every move, she didn't stop. The very next day, during a Zoom meeting, a new package I'd ordered was delivered, and my camera caught the all-too-familiar scene. Karen sneaking across the lawn, glancing around nervously, then lifting the package and vanishing. That was her final mistake, because this time I was ready. I had contacted Dennis Kramer, my cousin, who works at a wildlife rescue center. After I explained the situation with Karen, he just smiled and handed me a small vial containing a liquid that every living creature instinctively fears: pure, concentrated skunk essence. "Whatever you do," Dennis warned, "don't open this indoors." A single drop is enough to clear out a SWAT team. I built a decoy package, luxurious packaging from a high-end tech brand, clearly labeled. Inside, I placed a small plastic container with pressure vents, holding a cotton pad lightly soaked in skunk oil. Not harmful, but pungent enough to launch a full-scale olfactory evacuation. I taped a note to the box. "Any attempt to open or retain this package will be considered theft. Everything is being recorded and reported." Tuesday afternoon, perfect timing. That's when Karen usually hosted her Community Aesthetics Committee meetings at her house. I placed the box squarely in the center of my porch, camera angles locked in, and waited. 4:37 p.m., right on schedule, Karen appeared like fate itself had cast her. She moved fast, bent down, picked up the package, turned with practiced ease. No one saw, except 4 cameras. 23 minutes later, a sound shattered the quiet of the entire block. "Arg!" Karen's front door burst open. She stumbled out, hair wild, face pale, both hands holding the now open package like it was cursed. Behind her, aesthetic committee members coughed and gagged, some clutching towels, pillows, even curtain panels to their faces. One poor soul collapsed onto the lawn, arms flailing like he just escaped a chemical spill. "This is a chemical attack! Call 911! Someone's trying to kill me!" Karen screamed. Police and a full hazmat team arrived within 10 minutes, but once they confirmed it was skunk scent, legal, non-toxic, and saw the footage I provided, Officer Kim's expression turned cold. "You opened a package that wasn't yours?" he asked. "No, I was inspecting it for the community's safety." "But you picked it up, took it into your home, and opened it, just as the video shows?" Karen said nothing. From across the street, I stepped forward. "Maybe this is the first package you've ever taken, that you can't give back." Karen stood in the middle of her yard, trembling, still clutching the skunk-scented box, her eyes flickering between rage and panic. But the neighborhood was silent no longer. The whispers that had lingered for months were now voices, clear, public, and united. "I've lost my heart medication twice this month," Mr. Henderson said loudly, his voice breaking with anger. "My daughter cried through her birthday because her gift never came," Emily Dawson added, gripping the empty bag that once held the stolen package. One by one, the residents stepped forward, each with a story, each with a grievance. And all of them pointed to the same person, Karen Wilkins. Officer Daniel Kim stepped forward, clipboard in hand, a bitterly poetic contrast to the clipboard Karen once used to hand out petty violations. He spoke with deliberate clarity. Mrs. Karen Wilkins, based on video evidence, witness testimony from multiple residents, and reports regarding the unauthorized confiscation of personal property, you are being charged with mail theft, a federal offense. Please place your hands behind your back. The sound of the handcuffs locking around Karen's wrists echoed through the stunned silence of the neighborhood. No one protested. No one defended her, not even her husband, who silently dragged cardboard boxes from the garage to the recycling bin, eyes fixed on the grass. "You don't understand," Karen screamed. "I was preserving this place. I was protecting visual standards. I'm the only one who stood up while the rest of you let this neighborhood fall apart." No one responded. Only the soft shutter clicks of phones taking pictures, the low hum of recording videos, and the sharp thwack of a new notice being pinned to the community board. Notice: Karen Wilkins has been removed from her position as HOA president by emergency vote. The HOA will be temporarily overseen by an interim committee of 5 residents nominated by the community. I stood on my porch, sipping coffee from a bright red mug, the kind Karen had once banned under her visual harmony rules. I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. And then, something amazing happened. People who once sat silent in HOA meetings began talking to each other, exchanging phone numbers, planning a weekend BBQ. An elderly woman suggested rebuilding the old playground. A young couple announced their candidacy for the new HOA board. Someone jokingly called it Oakwood Liberation Day. Karen was driven away in a squad car. As for me, I simply whispered to myself, "At last, she got a package. She can't return justice." The story of Lucas Grant and Karen Wilkins isn't just a clash between a resident and a power-hungry HOA president. It's a powerful wake-up call about how authority, when left unchecked, can be abused, and how patience, legal knowledge, and timely action can quietly become unstoppable forces. In everyday life, many of us have encountered our own version of a Karen, not always by name, but in the form of people who misuse their titles, roles, or perceived authority to manipulate the environment around them. They make others feel small, voiceless, or forced into compliance just to keep the peace. But this story reminds us, silence is not a long-term solution. Lucas didn't respond with rage. He didn't break laws or strike back with violence. He read, he documented, he exposed the system Karen had worked so hard to keep hidden. That teaches us something crucial. Knowledge is a weapon, and composure is strength. When we understand our rights, we don't need to shout. We just need to act with precision and purpose. This story also reveals the latent power of community. At first, every neighbor suffered in silence, but once Lucas stepped forward, with evidence in hand, truth became the catalyst. Others found their voices. No one wants to be the first target, but all it takes is one person to spark a chain reaction. From there, others begin to stand, speak up, and feel protected by collective truth. And perhaps the most powerful message of all: those who seem powerless can change entire systems if they refuse to surrender reason and resilience. In a world where so much is dictated by those who hold the power, the real question is not how strong you are, but whether you have the clarity, courage, and sense of community to say no when it truly matters. So if you're facing injustice, whether it's as small as an unfair citation or as large as systemic control, remember this: you are not alone. Learn, prepare, act. Change starts with you. And sometimes it only takes a package and a camera. If this story made you cheer, reflect, or just want to stand up and applaud Lucas, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with anyone who's ever dealt with a real-life Karen. What do you think about Lucas's counterattack? Was it brilliantly executed, or could he have taken it even further? Drop your thoughts in the comments, whether you agree or challenge it, because every opinion adds to this growing community of justice. Thanks for watching until the very end.